Welcome into Vandy on SI. I'm Joey Dwyer. He's Graham Bacco here from First Bank Stadium after a monumental Vanderbilt football win, 31-24, as Vanderbilt becomes bowl eligible. And Graham doesn't really seem to care that much. A normal day where Vanderbilt students sat there and waited for the 1 minute clock to go before they stormed the field, and it didn't take any crazy special margin wins or anything along those lines. Vanderbilt was better than LSU today. It was favored against LSU, and it comes in, handles business. Now it gets to celebrate and prove that it's a real college football playoff contender. I think we learned that today. You can criticize their resume all you wanted before this. Now, I mean, they are one of the real contenders to be in the college football playoff, and they got a chance to have College Game Day again next week too.
Yeah, they do, and I'm sure we'll talk more in depth later in this post-game show about their schedule and playoff chances. But I think it goes to show like this, how far this program has come in such a short amount of time. Where you make a bowl game and you're sure it's cool. It's a cool thing and all.
But you shrug it off.
Right? Yeah, exactly. Like it's whatever. Like you have your goals and your dreams set on a much higher goal and a much higher standard, which is. Again, it's just special to see how far this program and Clark Lee has taken this team in just 2 short years. Because again, this team was 2-10. I mean, we say it all the time that this team was 2-10 2 seasons ago, and now they're 6-1, coming off a big win against number 10 LSU in a game that it was favored again, by the way. And it's a special game, special day, special environment is what it was, and the buzz just continues to grow. And man, what a day!
Sure. Graham, before we get into more of the game, like you said, the buzz, we got to list off some people that were here in the building tonight. First of all, Theo Vaughn was here. No surprise, right?
Yeah.
Dansby Swanson, we caught up with both of them before the game. We'll have stories on the site. In the next few days, Dansby Swanson's a Vandy guy through and through. That's what he told me before the game. Maybe that's no surprise. Darius Garland's here, another Vandy guy through and through.
Donovan
Mitchell, Evan Mobley, all guys who I think are big deals in their own right.
Yeah.
And then Noah Kahan.
Noah Kahan.
Was a two-time Grammy nominee in the building tonight. These are the people that this program is starting to attract, and if this keeps up, people are going to continue to come back, right? You look at the way this team performed and the euphoria that this game ended with, and another thing too, I don't know that it was quite euphoric for the players where you're floating on air because I think they expected to win this. It was for the fan base though. And Graham, no moment sticks out more to me than Diego Pavia busting a run up the left side there and finding the camera immediately, hitting the Heisman pose. I think a lot of people were off-put by that. Graham, that indicates his mentality, and Clark Lee says that he should have a case. I think he's in the mix in some level at this point. Diego Pavia, though, a magical day from Vanderbilt's quarterback. Only 160 yards. You look at the stat sheet, you're like, that's kind of far from magical, but thought he made a lot of really nice plays today. The 4th and 1 was among the best of his Vanderbilt career. Wow. Managed the game really well, and I thought he made some spectacular plays when he needed to. One of Diego Pavia's best performances in a Vanderbilt uniform.
Diego Pavia, plain and simple, I think he put on a Heisman type of performance tonight. And maybe the odds makers didn't really have him in their top 5, top 7, whatever going into this week. I think you have to put him at least into the mix after this week. I mean, the dude has led this team to a 6-1 record. Again, wins over South Carolina on the road, Virginia Tech on the road, and now LSU at home. Like, I think you have to start to give him a lot more respect and credit than what he's gotten. And Pavia, before the Alabama game, people are sort of considering him, but after they lost, he sort of was out of play for the odds in terms of stuff like that. But he put on a big time performance, and I want to go back to that 4th and 1. That it was such a key play where. It's like he's about to get sacked for a huge loss, and LSU thinking they're about to have the ball and deep in Vanderbilt territory around 30-35 yard line on the plus side, and you're thinking, I mean, that's a huge swing. That is a huge swing in momentum, huge swing in possibly the score, but then he turns around and dumps it off to MK Young, who runs for the first down. I mean, that could end up, we'll see what happens the rest of the year, that could end up potentially being one of the biggest plays of the season, in my opinion.
And I think it was a great day for MK Young as well, 82 rushing yards. Obviously had that big play on 4th and 1, which, like you mentioned, a big swing play. I think they went down and scored a touchdown there. If I remember right, it was the one Diego Pavia ran in and then did the Heisman pose right after. That was probably the biggest drive of the game, and I thought put the game away. LSU had a chance, and we'll get to that later. But overall, Diego Pavia really solid. And I still don't know if I buy that he's going to be a Heisman just because of his numbers. I mean, one of his better games today, the numbers weren't all that gaudy, but man, Grant, he has led this offense to heights that I don't even know that I expected they would get to, even after knowing him, even after knowing the weapons they had. And they did it really without a whole lot from Eli Stowers, without a ton from Trey Richardson as well. Cole Spence was the starter today, and we'll get to that in a second. But the biggest thing to me with their offense, not only Diego Pavia, is this LSU defense is really good, Grant. They hadn't given up more than 20 points to anybody but Ole Miss before today, and that was the only game that they had given up 20 points in. Most of them were far less than that. Vanderbilt goes and puts 31 on them, and it doesn't take a bunch of 80-yard runs or blown coverages or missed tackles. It's Vanderbilt just operating the way it operates. Cole Spence was wide open a few times. Diego Pavia surgical on a few plays. That's maybe the most impressive part of this game to me. They scored 31 points on probably the best defense they're going to see this year.
Yeah, and we talked about it pregame, is the importance of the run game for Vanderbilt. And boy, like they were phenomenal. Over 200 rushing yards against one of the best defenses in the country. This was an LSU defense that was ranked, in the top 10 in the country, and they go run over 200 yards on them. I'm not sure who could have predicted that. I mean, what a phenomenal game from the offensive standpoint and from the run game standpoint, because then it was able to get the passing game going, like two guys like Cole Spence and others. And I really think the run game was absolutely phenomenal. It was fantastic, and it was one of the biggest reasons why they came out victorious.
Graham, you had an interesting interaction with Clark Lee in the presser about Cole Spence. You kind of addressed him as a blocking tight end. Clark clarified he wasn't. And then Cole Spence
Cole Spence
is kind of embracing that identity. He said his favorite moments are pancaking guys and pushing guys around. A big receiving day from him, though. We always knew that he could be a great receiver. We saw it 2 falls ago in fall camp. He was excellent basically every day. Catching the ball was better than Stowers in that camp with catching the ball. Today he's lugging around the big knee brace, and he still finds a way to go and make a bunch of plays. He's wide open a couple times like we mentioned, but again, I think a really impressive day for him, and it's almost emblematic of him paying his dues and throwing all the blocks and being a part of this program through an ACL tear, not leaving it through the 2 and 10 year. Finally gets rewarded in a game like this. It's just fitting, right?
I mean, hey, look, we got Cole Spence on the record saying himself he's a blocking tight end. So I'm going to double down on my statement to Clark Lee about Cole Spence being more so of a blocking tight end, all right? So
he's taking pride in it.
Exactly, yeah. And look, and the thing is his blocking and that aspect of his game, I think and he said it himself, is the reason why he thinks he was able to be so open today, is because the opposing defenses didn't really account for him to sort of just slip a block and just go over the middle of the field wide open, no one even a few feet even close to him. And he said, he feels like that's why he was open, is because, again, he's a blocking tight end. So no one really expects him to go out and over the middle of the field and just go catch passes, because that's not his priority in his game in terms of, his overall game. But he was phenomenal, and he was, again, one of the biggest reasons. And he was able to find so many holes in the LSU defense that not many receivers that LSU's gone up against have been able to do, and he was able to do it, and he leads the team 56 receiving yards with the receiving touchdown. He was, I think, other than, of course, you had Pavia's performance, I think Cole Spence is certainly consideration for player of the game.
Yeah, for sure. I said it was the Cole Spence game. I stand by the take. Probably his best receiving game at Vanderbilt, and I think they were strong up front in the second half as well. I think that was a big catalyst to them going out and breaking this game open a little bit and going up by 10. Graham, the Vanderbilt defense was still tested late in the game, though. It was 31-24. LSU gets the ball back somewhat deep in its own territory, I think around the 20-yard line. You're thinking, oh, man, I have to scrap all these stories that I'm starting to write here. And Vanderbilt might be in a little bit of trouble. Vanderbilt's defense comes out, and Corday Sidner said the idea was for them to attack. Certainly did that. LSU goes 3 and out. Vanderbilt gets to Garrett Nussmeier and doesn't sack him, but puts a little bit of pressure on him. I think that said a lot about their defense, and them being able to live up to that moment, I think, should be encouraging the rest of the way for Vanderbilt fans. Yeah,
this Vanderbilt defense is emblematic of the bend, don't break, where, you're going to have your opposing defense maybe score a little bit of points, maybe go down the field, get some yardage, but at the end of the day, in the moments when it matters most, this Vanderbilt defense has stood tall consistently all year. And we even saw it against Alabama where, yeah, of course, you look at the score, 30-14, whatever. Alabama got the garbage time touchdown. But when you look at the Vanderbilt defense against Alabama in the second half, it was a defense that kept the offense in the game by holding Alabama to all those field goals in the second half and keeping it pretty close. And again, we saw it today here where, again, you hold LSU to field goals instead of touchdowns. We saw it at the very first possession of the game where LSU's driving down the field. You're like, uh-oh, like, is this maybe the day where LSU's offense finally starts to, get in rhythm and start to go off a little bit? But no, they get around the 30-yard line of Vanderbilt, and the Vanderbilt defense stands tall. They force the field goal. And I just can't say enough about this defense. And even in the secondary, too. I mean, because we talked to Jordan Matthews post-game, and he said he feels like Vanderbilt's secondary is a top-tier secondary in the SEC. Bold statement, but look, they proved it. I mean, they proved that this defense in the secondary, all pieces of this defense, is among the best in the SEC, and wow. Yeah.
Graham, I think it's a real statement. Not only they did that, LSU's offense, I think, was better today than maybe we thought it would be. And I don't know that was all Vanderbilt's fault. Garrett Nussmeier made some unbelievable throws, especially on the first drive of the game.
Absolutely.
He's just slinging it. He made a few really nice throws under pressure. Vanderbilt had some problems with tackling and gave up a big touchdown as a result of it. But otherwise, you're looking at it and saying, man, Garrett Nussmeier gave Vanderbilt all that it could handle, and it found a way to escape with a win. 24 points is the most LSU scored this season, so obviously not a flawless outing for Vanderbilt's defense, but you feel like that was a good enough performance to win the game. It certainly was. And again, the narrative will be crafted because of how much LSU scored.
Right.
I don't know that was all Vanderbilt's defense. I think LSU's offense turned the corner a little bit in ways, but still Vanderbilt got a lot of pressure on Garrett Nussmeier, and I think it was better than maybe the initial stat line would indicate.
Yeah, I mean, and this, like you said, this was one of LSU's better offensive games. I mean, you had them score 56, I think, on Southeast Louisiana, FCS school. But this was the most they scored against the FBS team this year. Yet, I think it all goes back to the bend, don't break. Where, again, Vanderbilt, sure, they may let up some points sometimes. They may let up some big plays at times. But, again, when it counts the most, the Vanderbilt defense has stood tall the entire season. And I think one of the biggest defensive plays of the game goes back to the fourth quarter. Zaylen Wood on first down gets a 10-yard sack, and it sets LSU behind the chains. They end up having to punt. And that was a huge play for me because if LSU goes, I can't remember the exact time. I think there was, a few minutes, 5-6 minutes left in the game-ish. And if LSU scores a touchdown, they're like, it's a tie game. And you're like, oh, man, like, are we going to have overtime? Like, what's going to happen? But no, that sack basically – it destroyed LSU's momentum and offensive drive, and sort of ended it because, I mean, I think they may or may not have had a false start on that. But again, the Vanderbilt defense, again, just excellent. I mean, what else can you say? Just an excellent performance all around.
It wasn't quite the shutout Zaylen Wood had teased,
but it wasn't a shutout like Zaylen Wood might have wanted, and the whole defense might have wanted. But they got the win, and they got and that's all that counts at the end of the day, is if you get the win, and they did.
I think another big play, Jordan Matthews chases down LSU's running back.
Yes.
They get it like the 2 or 3 yard line. Vanderbilt holds strong, and that changes the game as well.
It does.
If you score a touchdown there, it's 31-28. LSU's got a real shot.
Right.
2-score game there, and LSU just kicks a field goal. I think changes the outlook of the game, changes the morale of that LSU team. You feel like the momentum maybe shifted back towards Vanderbilt a little bit with that tackle with the goal line stand. It certainly did. That felt like a big play to me, and it felt like a lot of little ones accumulated today. The Zaylen Wood sack, the Jordan Matthews sack, or not the sack, the Jordan Matthews chase down, Diego Pavia 4th and 1 play. Maybe all of them didn't feel little in the moment, but it's all these plays where
exactly it all adds up.
Not quite touchdowns, but I thought Vanderbilt was really sharp in a lot of ways today and looked the part of a college football playoff contender. 6-1 at this point, Graham. We'll get into college game day maybe today, or we'll see if they get it tomorrow. But man, that was a really compelling statement to me that they could maybe be what they say they are.
And you know what? Let's actually take some time here to think about the schedule and think about their playoff odds. So next week they got Missouri, and then they go to Texas. They have Auburn, Kentucky at home, and you finish the season at Tennessee. I think Auburn and Kentucky are very winnable games that they frankly should win. You would honestly expect them to win. So that's 2. I feel like 10-2 an SEC team that's 10-2 should more than likely get into the playoffs.
Right.
So I feel like you have to go 5 games, so 4-1 in the last 5 games. So Auburn, Kentucky, that's probably 2. I think Missouri at home, certainly very winnable, probably will be favored, I would have to guess. So that's 3. So you either got to steal 1 in Texas or 1 in Tennessee. That is not out of the realm of possibility. That is very possible. Like, Vanderbilt is, like, listen here, folks, like, Vanderbilt absolutely can make the college football playoff. And if they go to Texas, if they can defend home turf and then go to Texas or go to Knoxville and win one of those 2 games, this team's going to be in the playoffs, I think.
For sure, Graham. And I don't have any reason to believe Vanderbilt can't do it at this point. We've seen poor stretches of play. Every other team in the country has had poor stretches of play at times. Vanderbilt's at its best. It can beat Texas. It can beat Tennessee on the road. It can beat Missouri at home. We got to see if it can do it. But tomorrow, I don't really see a world in which Vanderbilt shouldn't be around the 10 mark.
Yeah, I would guess 10. I would say possibly 11, 12.
Yeah, I think 12 and below would probably be the range you're looking at here. Vanderbilt was 17th today. This was a real compelling win. Obviously going to jump LSU probably. Probably a couple other teams that it should be in contention to jump over too. College game day could come here next week. This is the golden era of Vanderbilt football, Graham.
No question.
And today was one of its best moments. You see the field storming. You see Diego Pavia posing for the Heisman. This is something special. This is unique. And for Graham Bacco, oh, you want to go ahead?
I was going to say, I mean, this day hasn't happened since 1990, right? Vanderbilt has not, it's first time since 1990, Vanderbilt football has beaten LSU. I don't think we've said that. So just to let everyone know at home, it's a very historic day. And again, another step in terms of how far, another data point in terms of how far Clark Lee has brought this program.
Absolutely, Graham. A big win for Vanderbilt, a big statement as to where it is relative to maybe where the country perceives it.
Right.
A game that I think could catapult it into an even a new kind of stratosphere relative to where it's been and where it was heading into today. But for now, all Vanderbilt can do is celebrate this one and get ready for Missouri, where it's got a real chance. This is the golden era, like we said, of Vanderbilt football, and today, one of its best days. I'm Joey Dwyer. He's Graham Bacco for Vandy on SI. Thank you guys for watching. God bless. We'll talk soon. Peace.